teenager girl and find out if charges have been filed against her. Of course, the 14-year-old girl who's assaulted by this corporal officer, she's in pain. She's going through some emotional shocks because of what took place with her. Now, from my understanding and what we were told, that the officer never asked any questions. He jumped out of the car and immediately started running to the black kids. And we, to this day, would like to know why. The young lady that got into a fight with the young kids was making racial statements and cursing throughout the entire event, asking the officer to bring more police officers. And when the officer got there, his language was outstanding and unnecessary as well. This simply could have been handled different by this officer asking them to get off of that property, or they would give them a citation. But this officer didn't do that. And as a corporal, he should know what needs to be done and how it should be done when it comes to people that own properties that they shouldn't be on. So today we're going to ask for justice to be done, and this is ridiculous that we'll continue to fight these type of issues throughout this country. And this is setting the stage, and we just passed the open weapons law here in this state. We're setting the stage for a terrorist attack in this country. And the group is not going to be ISIS, it's going to be us against these injustice law officers and people who continue to allow racism to grow into this city. Now, with that said, if you have any questions, you can ask later, but I'm going to bring Dominique up. Dominique, come on. The Next Generation Action Network.
Can you state your name?
My name is Minister Dominique Alexander, President of the Next Generation Action Network. Currently, right now, we are doing this because the alarming video states racism as a factor. A lot of the things that was released in the media and throughout the country yesterday did not display what was really going on there. What really started this is an adult talking to a minor in a disrespectful manner that uprode for the police to call. But when the police came in dispatch, it showed that this person was very biased. The children stated in the video and continuously stated to Eric Casebolt, that wasn't us, that's them over there. They was steady telling him their rights. He was steady violating those rights. They kept on continuously saying these children that was harassed and put on the curve, and the young lady that a knee was put to her back, they stayed in this community. They had every right to be there at that pool, and was not given a chance to be able to talk on what's going on. This guy actually came out and did some very rational things. But we have come to figure out that Eric Casebolt has a very extensive military background. And as we look at this video, we can tell that there are some very serious psych evaluations that needs to be done. There's definitely, because we have, it's like you seeing somebody in the middle of a jungle trying to get every animal down and just get them, and they're going everywhere. And we definitely need to take care of this issue in this community. So we stand in solidarity with the community of McKinney, the local pastors, and actually what's called standing behind them and supporting them. And we have the NAACP, LULAC, and several different organizations out here to stand in solidarity, and Texas Justice Seekers to stand in solidarity with this family and with this community, to restore this community. This community is a growing city that has grown with African American, the statistics has grown in this community. And we definitely need to talk about this stem of racism. This stem of racism is going on across the country, through suburbs across the country. Now we have a video in McKinney, but this is going on all across the country, and we definitely need to take this as a serious action. So one of the demands that we ask that Officer Casebolt be fired. Second, be charged. We ask that the officer, the adults that assaulted these minors on TV, on video, be charged as well. We ask that the young man that was charged with evading arrest, his charges be dropped. This young man knew this young lady that he was doing. He was only trying to tell her to stay calm. We are right here, because she was yelling for her mother.
Right.
This man then turned around and pulled out a gun on him. What do you think he's going to stand there and look at him pull out a gun? No. I would run. I'm not what's called. He's already acting like a lunatic. I don't know what's going on. So we want all charges dropped. All charges dropped. And we definitely want this manner to stay serious and take it. We're allowing the city of McKinney and the police department to do their thorough investigation of this matter. We feel very confident in that they'll be able to effect it, but we want that to be done. We want to display community leadership, and what I'm going to do, I'm not going to talk that very long. I'm going to just pass this thing over to a community pastor in this community, the pastor of the New Covenant Church of McKinney, the amazing church, Pastor Golden.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm standing with Bruce Miller, who is one of my mentors here in the city of Christ Fellowship Church. And I'm glad that everybody is here to get a picture of what McKinney looks like. Okay. With all of the statements that have been made prior to me speaking, I have to tell you that we here at McKinney, the people that live here, the people that represent our city, we are definitely going to allow due process to happen. But we are going to do that with our eyes on it. I think that our city officials are making themselves available to meet with us. We met with them today, NAACP and others, as Dominique mentioned. We'll meet with some others on tonight. The church is in front of it by not just praying, but actually active being there to represent our clergy. I was the first person here at 2 o'clock. Nobody else from any other place, any other city, any other town. We were here. We went to the park. We talked with the family that precipitated the whole altercation. That was the church. That was McKinney. So what I'm saying to everybody and everybody that's going to watch, McKinney is on watch. McKinney is here, and we believe that we're going to get the righteous resolve, and that's what's most important to us. We appreciate everybody else, but there's a family that's involved and not just one. There's a young man involved and not just one. Even the officer, if he could apologize, he couldn't now because the media is so incredibly intense. We have a responsibility to make sure that we represent McKinney properly and we do what we're going to do. Everybody in the country can have what they do. We have no problem with that. Here's what I got a problem with. Give us a chance to handle our business, and then we'll report back to you and tell you what's actually happening. Bruce?
Yeah,
Sir, could you give us your name?
My name is Derek Golden.
Derek, G-O-L-D-E-N?
G-O-L-D-N.
and
Amazing Church.
Amazing Church.
Spelled Derek?
D-E-R-R-I-C-K.
And the name of the church again?
Amazing Church.
And I am Bruce Miller, pastor of Christ Fellowship here in McKinney. And as pastors, we have been communicating with each other in the community, and we are standing together against racism, against hatred, against violence. And we are standing up and calling our city to justice, to peace, and to love. Really to love our neighbors, to reach across ethnic lines, to extend our hands to embrace each other. We are calling for the churches to pray. We're calling today for a time of healing, to meet together this evening to pray across all churches, across all racial lines. And really our confidence and our hope is in the one bigger than us. We realize these kind of problems across our country, frankly across the world, can only be solved in the power of God. And that's where our confidence lies.
So I'm going to turn it back over to Dominique because I appreciate him coming in, helping yesterday. You got questions? Yes, sir.
I do, sir. If you were one of the first there, can you clear up something? There is one side saying the kids did have the right to be at the pool. The other side is saying that they weren't invited, that some disc jockey put out a tweet and they just showed up and they were unannounced and not supposed to be there. What is your understanding?
Well, in order to answer that question, I would have had to been at that party. And just like the city officials, we're going to wait to let all of those facts come out as we all investigate, because as the city investigates, we're also doing our investigation. Right. So we're going to wait for that to happen. Yes. No, yesterday when I went to the park, I spoke with the family that precipitated this incident with Dejaria. We weren't able to contact or communicate with her, but since then we have, but I haven't spoken with them, and I would definitely love to do so.
Tanya, to elaborate on your question, the Jerry is not going to be speaking public anytime soon.
No.
We're not going to release it. We're going to make sure that she has proper representation, and you know, we all see it on the video, so it's nothing more for her to say, but what she said on the video. To answer your question, this party was facilitated by a mother and her 2 daughters. This party was not done by the 2 women that petitioned them inside the pool. This party was done by an African-American family, and they had the park behind there. They had the pool. They had communicated with their HOA, the people in the community. Well known. It was a party there the week before. They took the whole thing. They did it. This was marketed at their schools. This was marketed on Twitter. That leaves the fact that the community, none of these kids, this illusion that these kids were coming from neighborhoods, all what's called jumping over fence, all that stuff is what, no. These kids were invited to this community to have a party, a cookout party. And that has been elaborated by the family and the people that represent. So the next person that we're going to bring up is the family.
We'll bring a couple of family members.
A couple of the family members here.
Speak short and we'll let you close. Come on, both of you guys. Let the uncle get it.
They never got cleared, never were approved.
Well, the thing about with the okay, well, here's the thing about the HOA. They have it's a community social media site that they communicate on, and there's leaders in the community. They have talked to those people. First off, right now, there's no leadership in the HOA right now, for as the management, the president, and all that or whatever and stuff like that. But they did talk. They did talk.
The HOA says you have to come in, you have to put a deposit down, you have to do various procedures.
They had all the procedures. You what's called it? If you
So is
definitely
the HOA lying?
no. Well, I don't know about that. But what I know about, these people had the right to do a party in there. They were from the community. They stayed in the community, and the young lady that civil rights were violated, and these young people, they stayed there, and they had every right to be there.
And we'll find out in our investigation.
Says they put a deposit down?
We'll find out that information.
Yeah.
I just wanted to
We'll find out. We'll let the family. That'll be something that the family will say. We're gonna let 2 of the family members say something. One more speaker. That way we won't keep you. These are family members. Tell them who you are.
Yeah, my name is Jahi Adisa Bakari. I'm the father of one of the young ladies that was struck by Officer Eric, and I'm here on her behalf. She's 13 years old, and I personally didn't condone her running up there, but she saw someone that was in danger. The fact of the matter, this officer recklessly attacked this young lady who was following his instruction to leave. That wasn't acceptable enough for him. So my daughter, she came in, he just punched her to the side, and she videotaped it also. So we have some more video in case you don't have it. But I would like to point out, I was very disappointed in the city of McKinney Police Department. It was a swimming party. They didn't send any female officers out there. There weren't any black officers out there if you heard that there was a lot of black people. And that's one of the things I like for them to have some character detail. When you are insensitive to that degree, black youth, being a young black man, I'm seeing the cops, I'm running. I've always been told, you see cars, you leave. If you didn't do anything, go. Those young men, they were, stay here, go, stay, come, don't go, move. And then there was a whole group of other people standing around. He didn't go attack them at all. I would just like the city to be able to respond if we can get the 911 call,
Right.
and send the proper people out there. If you were going to have some situations with young female girls, I don't like grown men touching my girls, my daughters. I don't like young boys touching them. So how am I don't appreciate no police officers, especially as reckless as this gentleman. I'm not indicting the entire police department, because I saw some people doing the right thing. I saw the officer actually trying to keep the matter right. This guy was just out of control. He should be drug tested, then fired. But he shouldn't keep his job. And I'm not going to stop until he is fired. And until he's fired, I'm going to bring out 3 names. You can Google them. Ajuma Muhammad, Anthony Shaheed, and Minister Louis Farrakhan. And you don't want that in McKinney. Thank you.
Sir, could you tell me your name one more time? Spell it.
Jahi, Jahi, Adisa, Adisa, and Bakari, Bakari.
Sir, can you talk about your daughter? How is she doing? How is she today?
Well, I'll be honest with you, she's masking it. She's trying to conceal it. She doesn't want to bring it up. She was with me all day and didn't even try to share it with me because she knew if she brought it up, I would be down here clowning. So now that I know, and she's upset. It's out there now. She's upset.
She's not the one that was thrown to the ground.
No, she's the one that was trying to rescue the one.
Was punched in the face.
That's her friend. So can you tell us a little bit about the jury and how she feels about
I don't know the relationship. I just know my daughter, if she sees somebody in distress, to my surprise, she went out and, I don't know if I would have been man enough to do what she did. So I'm proud of her on that, but I think it's foolish of her to do it too, because that police officer was out of control. I give him credit for one thing. He took it there. He pulled the gun out on teenagers.
But he didn't kill him.
That's the one thing I give him credit for. He didn't pull the trigger. I don't know how he pulled it together at that moment. Maybe one of the police officers said, don't. I didn't hear it. But I thought it was over at that point. So thank goodness he did that one thing, because had he done that, this McKinney would be another Ferguson 100 times over.
Okay, come on, y'all.
My name is Maurice Gray. I'm speaking on behalf of my wife. Basically, I have 5 kids. My wife was there at the pool from the beginning to the end. I have 5 kids. All 5 kids was there. Some of the information that was probably portrayed out here, from speaking on behalf of what I have got from my wife, is basically a little distorted, because there's a lot of speculation and there's a lot of opinions. For the information that I have received from my wife, is basically stating that there was a pool party, there were kids having fun. It kind of got out of hand with the security officer asking, black kids, asking white kids, but skipping over the white kids for ID. And that's where the kids, what they say, maybe start, unfortunately, trying to get into the actual pool, without using an ID. But she stated it was a nice party going on. Nothing was out of hand. No sex, no weed. None of that was being portrayed at the time. And when the actual police that came up there, like my wife said, that she didn't understand what was going on. She got our kids out the pool, and my two oldest are 16. And I would have been afraid if my wife was not been there, this might have been a different situation for my 2 older boys. So I don't know. I stay in McKinney. I am a McKinney resident. At any given time, you can come to my home. They call me the neighborhood dad. I got anywhere from 25 kids over my house, football, baseball, track. I'm a track coach, track assistant. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri originally. So I have seen enough that I can train my boys. You can teach a kid right and left. You can teach a kid wrong or right. But you can teach a kid how to respect elders. That's what they're saying. It was unruly parents. There were parents there. My wife specifically, and I know what type of parent she is, and she will speak her mind and tell kids when you're wrong and when you're right. But when a kid is not around supervision, you can't control your kid every I'd say every specific time. So when your kid is not around, being around their parents or adults, you don't know what your child is doing or what they're saying. So when they say there was unruly kids saying what they're saying, it could have possibly been. But don't never say your kid will never do that. Kids do anything around when they're not around their parents. So I'm basically protecting my sons, my daughter, and like I said, I have 4 sons and a daughter. And I'm protecting them, and I really was afraid of the video that I saw. So if you have any questions?
Could you give us your name one more time, sir?
Maurice Gray, Maurice, Gray, Gray.
What has been the response from the police department? Have they spoken to you? What are they saying to you guys?
Well, on behalf of my brother-in-law here, Jahi, basically what took place here is I've notified her mother about her daughter being hit, because I drove home and she said she was still crying. I went back to the scene to talk to the supervisor. A little bit much to say the supervisor was kind of passive. So he saw the video, but he saw nothing wrong at that time. But he was kind of upset that we actually put the video and made it on the internet. So he wasn't happy.
And the family is going to file with internal affairs. All the parents who were involved, they are going to file with internal affairs. We got one more speaker, we won't keep him.
My name is David Lee, and I'm an author and also a former resident of the city of McKinney. So let me just say, to add a little bit of proper context to what we're talking about here today, this isn't about rules. This isn't about HOA agreements, whether they filed forms there or not. And it really isn't fair to ask questions how the children are doing right now. I think what we're looking at are the behaviors of an individual that its department needs to take a closer look at. Probably not just this individual, but other individuals within this department as well who probably harbor those same type of beliefs that we saw demonstrated on the videotape not too long ago. We witnessed an individual who was in uniform, authorized by the state of Texas, stationed here in the city of McKinney, engaging youth. Now take for a minute the consideration that these are not black youth. Make them whatever color you want. At the end of the day, the behaviors that we observed are completely unacceptable for anyone who occupies a position where he possesses the ability to exercise lethal force. That's the truth. Lethal force. It is appalling that this man would draw a weapon in the presence of not just my children, but your children. Children. This is appalling.
Yes, it is.
We must not only address what should happen with this individual at the end of today, but my advice to the families, for every child that was present that day, that those families do the responsible thing and seek counseling for their children. This officer's behavior, without question, was unacceptable, unlike anything I have ever seen demonstrated on the behalf of anyone who occupies that level of authority. Now, let's not get lost in the details of whether we filed a report, whether the children should have been there or not. It is not the responsibility of the children to dictate how those who occupy positions of power are to respond to an emergency situation. This is sensible. What this officer did was not. Our message to the administration here, not just in the city of McKinney, but our message to those who occupy positions where they can affect change, the chief of police. Our counsel to you is to take a deeper look at the belief systems of those that you employ within your department. And so should this man lose his job, I think that's the least of what should happen. Okay. At best, this department must take a deeper look at the belief systems that its officers hold when they respond to situations that involve children. All right. Let me paint the context for you. Children wearing bathing suits, that's right, wrestled to the ground and handcuffed. Picture for a moment your 14-year-old child and how traumatic of an experience that would be for them. Now I want you to internalize the rage that you would feel, which is why all of us are gathered here today, from pastor to activist to brother-in-law, to express our discomfort with how this situation was handled. And then to say, we are here to ensure that there is accountability that takes place with this department. There must be someone must be held accountable for the actions that took place this weekend. And I dare say that since this officer has been employed since 2005, it is impossible to possess the kind of belief system that you and I saw acted out over that videotape and someone who supervises that individual not know what he believes. So what else should happen? Sensitivity training should happen with the remaining officers in this department. I would agree with the pastor. No, this is not indicative of the behavior that you see being demonstrated by hardly any of those who are police law enforcement officers here in McKinney. We have a rogue officer on our hands. If the issue were the officer was taking drugs that day, then he should be drug tested. If he were not taking drugs, perhaps he forgot to take his medicine. If this officer's behavior is altered in such a way that missing his behavior causes him to behave the way that he behaved on that day, then someone who employed him should know that. Let's just say it wasn't drugs, and let's say it wasn't prescribed medicine. This officer then is demonstrating a belief system. What you are seeing play out here is the result of what an individual believes. So whether it's drugs or not, if the bottom line behind this individual's behaviors is a result of what he believes, he cannot stay. We do not want anyone who occupies or possesses that type of belief system possessing lethal power on our streets. He has to go. Okay. Bless you.
Thank you. Give me your name.
My name is David Lee. I'm an author, Christian author.
We will be filing an open records request for a copy of the 911 tape because we want to know what the call that came in said, and maybe that also reacted how this officer responded when he got there. With that being said, if you have anything else, if you have any questions, some of the individuals will be around here, and we thank you for coming out.
Let's get out. Thank you, guys.
Nothing probably because it's still an investigation. So they're not going to open and say anything that Dominique needed to hear because it's still being investigated. So they're not, yeah, it was probably just a meeting to meet with them, just to kind of gradually open up to them.
Excuse me.
It was an investigation going on, so they don't usually speak, but it's an investigation.
They are also, I believe the chief of police is going to come down and speak also with NAACP and different people to talk, talk about the things. But far as we know right now, the chief of police has been on the job 6 weeks. So, and when we got the officer's name, we didn't get the officer's name from this big building behind you or city officials. We got the officer's name from community citizens calling us, telling us that they have been trying to get this officer off the force for a long time now. You get me? So this is not this officer's first go around at this. So definitely we're going to be asking for that 911 call and this profile of this officer and his action. So
Dominic, you met with the Jerry, right? You talked to her?
oh yeah.
Tell me a little bit about how she's feeling and how
It's a legal question.
Yeah. How she's feeling right now is they wouldn't right now at the preliminary stages right now I wouldn't comment on that, or I'll let them say about that. Thank you.
I lived here.